At the same time, doctors, with their expertise, with their moralities, they have their own rights too. The doctor knows what he is able or willing to do, both in accordance with his own personal morality and with his knowledge of the practice of sound medicine. It would do real violence to him to have to go against either of those. The bottom line is that there are times when the expressed directives in a living will cannot be carried out in good conscience by one's physician, and the physician is not obliged to do so. It is the doctor's right to refuse a particular service. In paragraph 20, your doctor has to tell you and document this in his file that he cannot follow part or all your living will. If this were to happen, the doctor should indicate this in the document in the file. At the very end of this passage, in paragraph 30, it says whether you wish to have living will is an option. Only you can decide. In any case, doctors are still committed to utilizing their training, their experience towards making the best decisions possible in every aspect of your care. You may feel that a living will is not for you at all. It is not, in fact, required by the law. It is simply a tool to help you ensure that you get the kind of health care you want. If you do not have a living will, your nearest of kin will be consulted. The patients and the doctors work as a team in the cooperative model, 人心人术. So much for our 3 modules and the patient's rights and the doctor's rights. We come closer to our passage. We'd like to do the global analysis and the detailed study, okay? And we analyze the text structure. After that, we do a little bit critical thinking. This test talks mainly about living wills, patients' rights and self-determination in terminal health care in the United States. Although the Federal Patients' Self-Determination Act went into effect in 1991, there are still many questions and concerns about what a living will means. According to the author, a living will is an option. Only the patient can decide the content of living will. But the doctors are still ultimately responsible for the healthcare decisions made in a patient's treatment. Doctors are committed to using their training and experience towards making the best decisions possible in every aspect of the patient's care. Let's look at the test in detail. You may find in paragraph 3, we have this sentence. This act went into effect. And in paragraph 2, we say this living will, blah, blah, and have been widely in force since 1989. Here, go into effect, go into force. Come into effect, come into force. They are interchangeable. They both mean that the law, the act, the statute can take effect, be effective, are binding. Next, in paragraph 5, we can find this sentence. Perhaps some clarity can be brought to the situation by understanding when and how these advanced directives are used. This sentence means questions and doubts about the living will might be resolved through an understanding of its purpose. Look at this phrase, bring clarity to. It means make something clear. For example, the congressman's speech has brought clarity to the government position on welfare reform. In paragraph 9, we came across a phrase, in the realm of. Another situation where living wills are not enforced is in the realm of surgery. That means living wills are not binding in case of surgery. Living wills cannot apply in the operation room. The phrase in the realm of means in a particular area of knowledge, experience, or interest, etc. For example, this is not really with the realm of my experience. Yes, you do remember empowerment, right? Empowerment of the patient. That is the key word of today's lecture. In paragraph 12, empowerment, the empowerment of a person or a group of people is a process that gives them power and status in a particular situation. In Chinese, we call it 授权, 给予更多的权利. For example, this government believes very strongly in the empowerment of women. After these words and phrases, we come to rhetorical device. In this passage, they also used pun, P-U-N, in this passage. Pun is a use of word in such a way to suggest two or more meanings, or the use of two or more words of the same sound with different meanings, so as to produce a humorous effect. This definition is taken from Oxford English Dictionary. For example, in paragraph 27, the author says, do everything possible because it is your will. Here, will, this word, suggests two meanings. One is like our living will. The second meaning, the will is your determination, your decision, your say. So will here is used in a pun. We'd like to look at more examples. The first example is from Benjamin Franklin. He said, if we don't hang together, we shall hang separately. Hang, hang, the same word, but with two meanings. The first hang is unite. If we don't unite together, the second hang is be hanged, is kind of death penalty. We will hang separately. This is to call us to unite together. And the second example, in William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, Romeo said, not I, believe me, you have dancing shoes with nimble soles. I have a soul of lead. So and so, different spelling, but the same pronunciation. These are also pun. Now we'd like to analyze the text structure. The first 11 paragraphs, 1 to 11, defines what a living will is and illustrates the situation for enforcing a living will. And from paragraph 12 to 20, this part analyzes the reasons behind the trend that, despite patient empowerment, doctors are still take the final responsibilities for patients' treatment with the changing history of the DP relations. In paragraph 21 to 23, it explains what a durable power of attorney is and its difference with a living will. And in paragraph 24 to 26, this part tells about the procedures for making a living will. The last 4 paragraphs, they describe various concerns regarding living wills. So, it's very clear structure. Then we come to the critical thinking part. We have mentioned living will, durable powers of attorney, advance directive. And look at these 2 pictures. One, I have an advance directive, not because I have a serious illness, but because I have family. In the other picture, it says, let your living will speak for you in case you cannot. So here comes the question for our thinking. How a living will can make a difference? Here are some answers for you to think. Talking about health, comparatively speaking, is to talk about life, because it is my life, it is my death, and it must be my choice. In your living will, you can choose to have your life prolonged as much as reasonable possible by procedures like tube feeding or mechanical respiration. And you may choose not to be kept alive by artificial means. and you can choose to name someone to be in charge of making sure your wishes are honored, are respected, and to make their health care decisions for you. What happens if I don't have an advance directive? A judge may decide who gets to make those decisions, and that person would do so without written guidance from you. Therefore, failure to have a living will often leads to confusion and stress during your time of need. A living will is essential in spelling out your end of medical care decisions. If you are unable to communicate your wishes, a living will allows your family and doctors to rest assured that your own personal choices are being respected. In daily life, we know a last will. So what are the differences between a living will and a last will? A living will is a simple document in which you state your wishes for life support and other type of medical care. A last will is a document in which you spell out what you like to happen when you pass away. For example, you appoint the guardians for children, you appoint beneficiaries for assets, and you appoint someone to manage your estate. Have you ever heard about 5 wishes? These 5 wishes is a U.S. advance directive created by a non-profit organization, Aging with Dignity. It has been described as the living will with a heart and soul. These 5 wishes help us to think, the person, I want to make care decisions for me when I cannot, and the kind of medical treatment I want or I don't want, how comfortable I want to be at the end of my life, how I want people to treat me, and the last wish, what I want my loved ones to know. These 5 wishes, we have a Chinese version. You can find this in this website. In Chinese, we call it 选择与尊严网站. Here, it is the first non-profit website to advocate death with dignity. It is my life, it is my death, it is my choice, choices and dignity. This is a piece of information from this website. If you are interested, you can find more. Next question for critical thinking is, in terms of the 3 models we covered at the very beginning of today's lecture, the theocratic model, the engineering model, and the cooperative model, which model can benefit patients most, and which model is most ideal to doctors? At the very end, I'd like to recommend several books to you. These 3 books are written in English. They are original. Advanced Directives and the Living Will, Death and Dying, Life and Living. They are worth reading. And in our Chinese version, we have 3 books. 死亡课, 我选择有尊严的死去, 我的死亡谁做主? In today's lecture, we covered the DP relationship, the 3 motives, the patient's rights, the doctor's rights, the living will, and the durable powers of attorney. I hope this will be of some help for you. Thank you.